Hello, Ethan Vessels, lawyer in Marietta, Ohio. I'm licensed both in Ohio and West Virginia. The question today is, what does insurance have to do with my personal injury case? And the answer is, usually, a lot. In cases where you are injured because of the negligence of a third person, in many cases that third person or a business that injured you carries what is called liability insurance, insurance that is purchased in order to pay for the damages caused when we negligently injure someone else. Now, liability insurance always comes with preset policy limits, sometimes as little as $12,500 for auto policies in Ohio, and they can go up to $50,000, $100,000, $500,000, or in the millions of dollars depending on who is buying the insurance and the purpose of the insurance policy. Now, as I said, that we all are supposed to carry liability insurance on our automobiles in case that we cause an injury to someone else on the road because of our own fault. But likewise, businesses often carry or should be carrying liability insurance in case they are negligent in causing someone else's injuries. Many of us, with our homeowner's insurance policy, will often buy a liability policy along with our homeowner's policy, so that way we are covered for negligent acts in case we injure someone not having to do with an automobile case. Now, many businesses are so big that they simply opt to self-insure, which is a fancy way of saying that they do not carry insurance at all and they'll simply pay for whatever damages that they cause or any verdict that is rendered against them. This brings up an interesting point, and this is where people get confused about liability insurance. If you are injured through the fault of someone else and they carry liability insurance, let's say State Farm, you do not have a case against State Farm. You have a case against the person that hurt you. Let's say it's an accident on the roadway. John Doe runs a red light, hits you, breaks your leg. John Doe has State Farm insurance for his liability carrier. You have a case against John Doe, not State Farm. If you end up having to file a lawsuit, you do not file the lawsuit against State Farm. You file the lawsuit against John Doe because that's the person that hurt you. Many people don't understand this because you would think, therefore, that the liability insurance carrier has little to do with the litigation if it gets to a lawsuit other than to pay the verdict. Not so. In almost every case, when it comes to a lawsuit, the liability insurance company will control every aspect of the lawsuit on behalf of the defendant. They will select which lawyer to hire to represent the at-fault party, or hopefully the at-fault party. They determine if and when to settle, when to try the case. They basically control the litigation on behalf of the defendant because ultimately they are the ones that are going to have to pay. But interestingly, and many people do not understand this, if it comes to litigation and it comes to a trial and you have to try your personal injury case in front of a jury, if the defendant does have liability insurance and the liability insurance will pay for the eventual verdict and in fact is paying for the lawyer that is at the trial representing the defendant, the plaintiff, the injured person, may not tell the jury that there is liability insurance on behalf of the defendant. Many people find this very unfair because the jury is lulled into believing that this person that is sitting there is the defendant, who may appear to be penniless or otherwise have no ability to pay the verdict, even if the plaintiff may be asking for hundreds of thousands of dollars. The jury may be lulled into believing that the defendant has no financial way of paying the verdict, and the plaintiff feels that they will be slighted because the jury will reduce the verdict accordingly out of sympathy for the defendant. That's just the law. So, if you are on a jury and you find yourself asking, how can this defendant possibly pay this verdict? They can't possibly think that this person can write a check for this. You need to know then that almost certainly there is liability insurance covering the defendant. Now, this brings up the issue of how do you deal with insurance companies if you're in a personal injury case, whether you're trying to settle it yourself or you have a lawyer working for you trying to help settle your personal injury case. Many people like to talk about insurance companies as evil. They're out to get them. They're against the injured people. I find it in my business as a personal injury lawyer best not to think about liability insurance companies like people at all. Don't think in terms of evil or good or bad. What you need to realize is that a liability insurance company is a for-profit business. Their job is to make money. To be more specific, their job is to bring in premium dollars from all their customers, and if they can get away with it, pay out as little as they can on claims, settlements, and verdicts. That's how they make their money. So when you are negotiating a case with an insurance adjuster, either with yourself or with a lawyer, remember this. Their job is to get out of it as inexpensively as possible. But what they always have to have in the back of their mind, the insurance company, is how much will this eventually cost them? What will the verdict eventually be? How much will it cost to litigate this case? Will I have to pay a lot for my lawyer, the insurance company? Will they have to hire experts to litigate the case? Will they have to pay interest on any eventual settlement or verdict? These are the things that enter the minds of an insurance adjuster, and this is how a case should be settled for both sides. What is the way to get to the eventual settlement as inexpensively and efficiently as possible for both sides? Of course, the plaintiff trying to maximize the settlement and the insurance company trying to make the settlement as little as possible. I hope this has helped you understand how liability insurance has a big impact on personal injury cases. If you have additional questions, I invite you to visit our website at the end of this message, or if you would like to order a free copy of the book that I have written, I Have Been Injured, What Are My Legal Rights? Please visit our website and we will send you a copy free of charge. Thank you.